Hey guys, Jason here. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite kinds of workouts that anyone can do to get faster, no matter what race you're training for. That is a fartlek. So if you're relatively new to the running world, that may seem like a funny word to describe something that has to do with running. No, it's not running by jet propulsion. So what exactly is a fartlek then? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you, plus give you a fun way to incorporate fartleks into your training. A fartlek is a Swedish word for speed play. Now, doing all your training at one pace can get pretty boring pretty fast. Plus, it can lead to something called performance plateaus, where you don't really see any more gains. You're putting in the time, putting in the miles, but the gains kind of stop. Well, fartleks are a fun way to add some speed into that training. So to put it simply, a fartlek is an increase in speed for a given distance or time. So for example, one thing I used to do in college was go to this big grass park. It was this huge grass park and it had plenty of areas to run and it was nice soft grass. So what I would do is I'd run around this park maybe for 20-30 minutes or so, and I would pick different landmarks in the park and I'd say, okay, I'm gonna run harder to that landmark. And when I got to that landmark, I would ease up and I'd take a little bit of a break, slow jog, and I'd pick another landmark and do the same thing. And like I said, I'd do this for 20 to 30 minutes or so. Now, the best part about this is distance didn't matter. I didn't care how far I ran in that 30 minutes. I didn't care what pace I was running for that 30 minutes. It was all about making a difference between easy pace and an increased pace. And that is a fartlek. The whole point of a fartlek is to have some variation to your speed. It doesn't matter how fast it is or how much of an increase it is, as long as there's some difference, that is a fartlek. The best part about it is you don't even need a GPS to run a fartlek. You can literally go outside right now and say, okay, I'm gonna run harder to that location over there. And you run harder to that location, take a little bit of break, and you run hard to another location. Now, I suggest being a little bit more organized in your fartleks, and I'm gonna talk about that in a second because I have a fun game that you can do on a treadmill, outside, anywhere. But before I go any further, be sure to comment down below. Let me know if you've ever heard of this word fartlek before, and if you've ever done a fartlek in your own training. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. Let me know what you guys think, because over the next several weeks, I'm gonna be posting a lot more content just like this. Now that we talked about what a fartlek is, let's talk about when to do fartleks. And the answer is simple. Anytime. You can literally do a fartlek anytime. It doesn't matter what distance you're training for. A 5K, 10K, half marathon, ultra marathon, whatever. A fartlek is a simple form of speed work that will give you benefits fast. Now there are two groups of people who could benefit tremendously from having fartleks in their training. Group number one are people who are coming back to training after taking some time off, whether that be just a mental break or injury or whatever. Fartleks are a great way to get some of that fitness back. And group number two are people who may be terrified of adding speed work to their training plans. So if you're relatively new to running and maybe the idea of doing intervals or repeats kind of terrifies you, a fartlek is a really easy way to get some basic speed into your training plan. Now you may be saying, well, it's really cold outside where I live, or you don't want to run outside, or you're just stuck to running on the treadmill. Well, guess what? You can still do a fartlek. Here's a fun game you can do on your treadmill and still get some speed into your training. First, grab 10 index cards or 10 pieces of paper and break them up into two groups of 5. On the first 5, you're gonna write down a specific speed. Now, please be reasonable and don't put a speed that's gonna launch you off the back of the treadmill. That would be a bad day for you and I would feel really bad. So please, 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 please be reasonable with the speed you write down. The important thing to remember is you want to write down a speed that's a little bit faster than your normal easy pace. On the other 5 pieces of paper or index cards, write down a time or a distance. It could be something like 30 seconds or 1 minute or 3 minutes. If you're doing a distance, it could be a quarter mile, a half mile, whatever. I would rather you stick with time though. Once you have something written down on all 10 cards or pieces of paper, put them in the 2 stacks that we talked about and put them somewhere easy for you to reach if you're doing this on a treadmill. Now, let the fun begin. So, what you're gonna do is hop on the treadmill, warm up for a good 5-10 minutes. Nothing crazy, just an easy warm up, and you're gonna draw from each pile. So when you draw the card from each pile, it may say something like 1 minute at blah speed. Set your treadmill to that and go. Once you finish that time, throw the cards away or put them somewhere else and go back to that easy pace for another minute or 2 minutes or so. Then you're gonna draw the next couple cards and you're gonna do that. You're gonna do this for all 5 cards in both stacks. And after all this, cool down for maybe 5-10 minutes or so. And there you have it, that's a fartlek. Now if you're doing this outside, you can incorporate this into just about any run during the week. So you could do it with time, you could do it with distance, but like I said, I like to stick with time. So if you're outside, you could do something like a ascending and descending fartlek ladder, meaning you're gonna run hard for a minute, easy for a minute. Hard for 2 minutes, easy for 2 minutes. Hard for 3 minutes, easy for 3 minutes, and so on and so forth. Something like that is really simple and really easy to do. Now, like I said, fartleks are an easy way to add some speed into your fitness. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing all out sprints, it's just running comfortably harder than your easy pace. And now you know how to fartlek.